Ready?
Yep.
All right. Welcome, everyone. It is 6:30, January 12th, 2026. This is a meeting for Public Works Committee. I see we have Alder Madden. I see Citizen Mary, Kayatri, Don, and myself are here, so we do have quorum. If anyone has what would like to speak when we get to your agenda item, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Our first item is going over the minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody reviewed them? Are there any comments or changes from the last meeting minutes that you would like to address?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we will accept those as they were recorded. And on our agenda, we have this as item 4, but we're going to go to it next. Authorization to SRF Consulting to proceed with a traffic impact analysis for culvert development. Ben, do you want to introduce this item?
We'll have Luke Melitik, city engineer, start that off. We also have Noah Leonard from SRF Consulting available to answer any questions. Then obviously Culver's development team is here as well.
I do watch you on ours.
Yeah, so just as an overview, part of our policy as a city is to have every redevelopment and new development complete a TIA as a part of the planning process and engineering review process. This TIA or these TIAs look at not just the site itself, but the surrounding infrastructure. So that would include everything from intersection alignments, traffic controls, pedestrian access, and so on. We have a TIA guidelines that are posted on the city's website. And in the packet, we have two different proposals from SRF. One proposal is following those guidelines to a T, including all the intersections that it states that we should, and so on. City staff worked with SRF to parse down this proposal quite a bit. Instead of 19 intersections that would be looked at, we narrowed it down to only 8 intersections that would be looked at. The main ones that were removed were on Highway 12 or University Avenue, some of those major roadways that likely are not going to be impacted by this development. This mainly focuses on the Parmenter intersections and then those local road intersections as well. So with that, Culver's also is requesting a waiver for this requirement. They're requesting the TIA requirement be waived. City staff recommend that we proceed with the TIA scope of the 8 intersections.
Okay, thank you, Luke. So would anybody like to speak on behalf of SRF or Culvers?
On behalf of Culvers, yes.
All right, committee will recognize you if you could please introduce yourself and can have like 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, great. So I am Kyle Dumbleton. I am the Director of Architecture, Engineering, and Construction at Culvers. I've been there a little over a year, but I've got a pretty long history in the industry. Been to many meetings like this over the years. I'm happy to speak on behalf of Craig and the rest of my team here. I remember Culvers from back when I was a kid. I grew up in Portage, and we were fortunate to have one of the early ones there. So I know how much that they mean to the community. And Craig and his family are a huge part of Middleton and of this one, and really want to enhance that existing location and as move up the block to be able to better serve the guests, provide a better experience for the team, the community, continue being a major part of that community. So as you know, that new site, it's existing restaurant, which had a drive-through. It's on the north end of that block. So we think that, while that is a redevelopment, We don't think that is a huge trigger to say, oh, we're doing something vastly different here, and we're going to be generating, so many more trips and things like that. Yes, we hope that our guest experiences go through the roof, but in reality, we have a pretty captive audience in Middleton, and that trip generation is not going to change markedly. We're going to see similar kind of staggered traffic as people either dine in or a lot of people do go through the drive-through, but we have a pretty regular cadence of how that flow goes.
And Kyle, we're moving our guests from one spot to another spot is what we're doing.
You've got that.
And yeah, we hope to do more business because it's a better location than what we've got. You guys know how tight that lot is. I think we opened that restaurant in '92. And as I was telling Luke and others last time we met, those of you that been around for a while, that was Porky's Motel is what that was. And it was a couple acre site, and Mr. Middleton, Ron Gross, and we know each other, and Ron said, Craig, why don't you buy that? Put a Culver's there in that front acre, I'll take the back acre. Well, I should have taken it all, but it wasn't smart enough at that time to do that. But now it's time. It's time for us to move to a better location. We've looked all over Middleton for another location. There just isn't another available site. And this gentleman that we're dealing with there, very, very difficult to deal with. But we've satisfied him with a number that we're going to buy it. We're going to do that. We just like a little help on your side as far as, if we have to put traffic lights in, that's fine. But we don't want to be burdened with that cost of putting traffic lights in there. Turn lane, yeah, we'll handle that. We can do that. But the traffic lights, I don't even want to tell you what we're paying for that lot because it's crazy expensive. And but we're willing to do it because we believe so much in Middleton. We do. It's been a great restaurant for us for many years now. And we're going to continue that, Middleton. We're going to continue to be a great community player as well, like we always have been, like we are in every one of our communities. So we're just asking for a little help on your part. Partner with us as we have in the years past. Sorry, Kyle.
I wasn't gonna say it. It's great.
Appreciate you adding in there. Just a couple more points I'd like to make. As we do have some pretty good traffic analysis tools. They really help us understand where our restaurants are going to be successful around the country. We understand it's different technology than what you guys probably use, but we do have the ability to know when we're the busiest and when we're not. That's how we staff. That's what we gear up for. We know that the busy times for most communities are commuting times, right? It's going to work in the morning, going home at night. Well, maybe there's a little overlap at night, but we don't serve breakfast, unfortunately.
Well, we're not going to sleep breakfast.
So that lunch traffic, there's a couple hours there when it's busy, but there isn't just, maybe there's a little uptick other places too, but we don't feel like there's, a major bottleneck with with traffic we see and then that commuter traffic. And then just, looking at that intersection, there's obviously been, more apartment buildings added around there. I think a few of us drove in tonight and it seemed pretty calm. There was
Culver's was busy, but the rest of it, otherwise it was pretty silent around the area.
Yeah, so that new site, it's going to allow, greatly reduce any chance of spillover back into the street when our drive-through does get busy. be much easier and safer for emergency vehicles to get around. And just a beautiful new addition to the community. So,
Yeah, it'll clean that site up, that's for.
and hopefully, everything always has a cycle to it, but that area, hopefully it continues to bring the neighbors up with it. So.
Ben, as far to my understanding, there's been already some discussions about scaling back the TIA, correct?
Correct. So, right, as Luke had mentioned, per our guidelines, the TIA would have looked at 19 intersections, obviously talking with Culver's, and then we worked with SRF and scaled that down. So I think it's down to 8 intersections that this analysis would look at.
And part of the challenge with, that we have with that is the timing. There's an extended amount of time to do that research work, study. And, we are on a pretty tight timeline with that buyer. So that if it's the worst case scenario, I think which I, showed in the memo, we would exceed that. And, that's pretty risky. I don't know how that outcome go, but.
Yeah, I guess if I can chime in, Chair Lang, the TIA would not prohibit any other reviews from occurring. We could do other reviews simultaneously. So this wouldn't, push this entire time frame for the the process back by that 3 weeks or 6 weeks, however long the study ends up taking. I did want to touch on a couple other things as well. So this TIA doesn't only look at car traffic to Culver's. I guess one thing off the top of my head is I know a lot of kids walk here from school as well. There's a lot of foot traffic around the area, and there isn't really a good crossing at the just Lynn intersection up there. So there's things like that this study also looks at. We also don't know if there's going to be a traffic signal needed or any sort of improvements needed at the intersection at this time. That's part of what the TI ends up looking at. I guess I also wanted to touch on the estimated traffic amounts. According to our very preliminary analysis that we've just looked at, comparing the existing Culvers versus the new site versus Fitzgerald's. Fitzgerald's currently is not in operation, but it is more of a sit-down restaurant. I don't know if they have a drive-through or not for sure.
Yes, yeah,
Okay. I do know it's really more of a sit-down place, is my understanding. So the traffic amounts that we'd be looking at, the current Fitzgerald's, we would estimate that it generates about a third of the traffic of what this proposed Culver's would be generating. And we estimate that the existing Culver's generates about half of what we'd be looking at for the new Culver's in terms of peak hour trips generated. So those were just a couple things I wanted to bring up, especially that this is not going to be prohibiting or inhibiting any other reviews. We could do all these other engineering planning reviews simultaneously.
You just asked for clarification on the point you just made, Luke. Half, could you explain that again? What you meant with that?
Can you ask the chair to be recognized?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. Go ahead. Yeah, you're recognized.
Jay Campbell. If we could just ask Luke, you clarified the statement you just made about the existing Culvers would be about half the traffic of the new location. Can you
So
explain
that's just an estimate based off of building footprint and size and
So you're saying that your projection says that business is going to double for the Culvers if it relocates to this location?
double the traffic for a peak hour? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? That's what the initial estimate says. We do have SRF here too. Noah from SRF might be able to provide a little bit better detail than I would.
Yeah, we'll, the committee will recognize SRF. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, absolutely.
On that?
So, as Luke mentioned, we did some preliminary, I guess, estimates and best of what we can do. the trip generation we ran is through ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers. The existing site, we estimated as about occupancy of about 125. You feel free to correct us if that's an incorrect assumption, but based on this just initial, and the understanding is that the new site is estimated to occupy 250 seats.
That's not correct.
That's the most recent we have, but also the understanding that it is a dual drive-through intensity. But again, based on what we know about the existing site and the counts we have, we collected in 2022 as part of the Bruce Company redevelopment TIA. The estimate is that this new site has the opportunity to handle additional double what the current site has the ability to handle.
So the new restaurant will have about 10 to 15 more seats, maximum.
And again, these are just the numbers we have. This is early. We are, this is all initial analysis. We haven't, obviously the study is not underway, so this is all we can estimate at this point in time. Once the study, if it were to commence, we will be able to dig in those numbers further. I will mention as well, we've had the opportunity here to work with Luke and Ben within the past 9 months, but historically we've been able to work with developers in this area, Middleton especially. We haven't had the pleasure to work with you all yet, but it is very important to us that not only we can provide a product that's useful to this committee, to the city staff, but also to you all as well, which is why we generally in the past have historically recommended to reduce the study intensity. So previously, I think they mentioned 18 intersections, reducing that down to 8, understanding that those are the most critical pinch points. The guidelines alone, it's a mile radius for all signalized intersections, which in the city here can ping a lot of that. That's 2,500 feet radius for unsignalized major intersections. So we sit down with the city staff to help identify which ones are critical and most important, and just reduce that so it's not extra work that's, in air quotes, unneeded or inappropriate for this study. So we do sit down with the city and make sure that we can make this as most useful for them, but also you all as well, to have a product that you all can take forward and use as recommendation.
Thank you. Luke, anything else?
No, I guess I would just reiterate that, I did mention to the Culver's team that there may be a traffic signal needed earlier on in the process. We don't know that for sure. That was more just due diligence, making sure that we had all the information put in front of their team as we could.
Okay. Is anybody else, or go ahead?
So one more thing, and on the trip generation, so WISDOT provides, this is not a WISDOT granted TIA, but through the city, there are IT trip generation link trips. So you talked about in your memo that this is, existing trips throughout the infrastructure that will continue to navigate in and out of the site. And so when we complete I don't want to assume everyone knows all the lingo. So when we do our trip generation, it's all under assumption of new trips. But for sites that we anticipate that will attract traffic that's already there, those are referred to as linked trips. And so WISDOT has a recommendation of what these types of land uses, so in your case, fast food with drive-through, what those linked trips reductions can be. So I believe the estimate was about 20%, 15-20% for a drive-through facility of this type in this area. And so those trips we kind of scale back from the overall new trip generation. And so that's something we also apply kind of to ensure that the new site isn't overestimating the new trips that are coming to the area, because that's a big differentiator. And we mentioned in your memo as well that a lot of this traffic may be existing in the area. That is for sure true. It's just estimating what that is versus what the site will attract as new. Again, the site has additional capacity for drive-through for sure. I do know personal experience, I love that Culver's there, but there's been plenty of times with the drive-throughs to the road, and I keep going, unfortunately. But so just understand and make sure we are accounting for those patrons that may not able to access the site currently, but will be able to with your new site as well.
It would be beneficial to not have the drive-through that we have there, because it is out to the road at times. And during 2020, it was out to lights and stuff. So we won't have that issue with this space.
Does anybody else from your team have anything?
I'm sorry, I should have asked.
I mean, I think one of the big challenges we face with trying to do submittals concurrently is that, we just don't know what the feedback is going to be, and we don't want to start engineering things that can't come to fruition. So that's one of the challenges here. And again, just it goes along with timelines and risk. Those are very big factors here. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
As well as through the course of time, and let's fast forward and say a traffic light is called for. By the time we get to that answer, as Kyle's indicated, and as reports shows, the due diligence period will have gone. They won't have the opportunity to exit out of this purchase contract and then potentially be looking at $400,000 of cost for a traffic light. Definitely, we would need the ability, and there would have to be discussions of cost share going forward, because that also would be appropriate for the last business on the block to have to bear the brunt of that burden. So you're really putting them in a very, very difficult situation from a purchase agreement standpoint on this development. Again, requiring it is one thing, but then depending upon the results, we just need to make sure you all understand the situation that you're putting this site development in, and this is going to be the case no matter who comes forward to develop this site, right? Whether it's Culver's or any other user, as a city, you guys need to be thinking about that. This is a little bit of a safer bet, if you will. The user, what they're generating down the street. Again, business is not going to double at this location. They probably love it, but that's just not feasible and not going to happen. Again, approximately 10 more seats in the dining room. Yes, more drive-through capacity, but so we just need to make sure you guys really are aware of the situation you're putting them in with this requirement.
Thank you.
We could give exact numbers of how many go through drive-through right now, and how many inhabit the dining room system. We got all those numbers.
Yeah, that would be super critical for it.
Okay. Alder Madden, I see you have your hands up. You're recognized.
Thank you. I'll state now that I'm uncomfortable with going forward without some sort of traffic impact analysis. I appreciate the fact that the city pared it down from 19 intersections to 8. I think those 8 intersections are important. I think, as Luke mentioned, not only for car traffic, but I don't hear anybody talking about, except for Luke, the pedestrian traffic from the 2 schools that come during the kind of off-peak hours right after school at 3:30, 4 o'clock. And the fact that Parmenter is a major bicycle thoroughfare through the city that feeds into the outgoing countryside and those bike lanes as well. So it's not just about cars. Drive-throughs are important, and that's, I imagine a lot of people are going to drive to Culver's, but we need as a city a bigger picture that involves accessibility to all of our residents, not just the people using the drive-through. That's what these TIAs are designed to do. We got to look at the entire picture, not just the drive-through capacity of that single restaurant. And I don't think that we are asking of Culver's anything that we would not ask of any developer who wants to put something into that site. I, for one, really appreciate and love the fact that Culver's would move. I also am not a big fan of sitting in that drive-through, so it's not that I'm not excited to see that project go through, but I am uncomfortable with waiving that traffic impact analysis. I think the pared down version of 8 intersections is appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll happily make a motion in that if that is required.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to add that I think the city is very supportive of the development moving forward. In terms of, I see this as just the first step to several steps that may come later that we won't be deciding tonight about cost share. But if it comes across our committee, I would support the city helping out with some of that, because this is something we do anyways, is address pedestrian concerns and bicyclist concerns. And signal lights where they're needed as well. You know, everyone I know and speak to is a fan of your business, want to support you, we want you to be successful. I just look at this as also a necessary first step just to get a little more information. And then if things need to be addressed as a result of a TIA, we can discuss that further. I do not support putting that all onto your business either. So
Thank you.
So that being said, is there anybody from the committee that would like to speak before we ask for a motion? Gayatri or Mary, did you hear everything from the people here? Or did you have any comments? Don, I mean, you too.
I'm good.
Good too. Mary,
No.
you're recognized.
You're on mute.
Still muted.
You'd think after all these years I would figure out how to do that. I second everything that has been discussed or brought up by Alder Madden. And I also just want to note I worked at Culver's in high school for 4 years, and I rode my bike to Culver's and I walked to work. So in addition to the patrons coming to Culver's, also for the employees to have a safe way to get to work is important if they're locals and they're coming in all different forms. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
I could just add one more.
Sure.
I guess if we need to do a traffic study, I guess is there a path for us to work on this concurrently? To try to find some resolution to the way our site is designed, so that we could proceed with some submittals in good faith that they're going to work out. Is that I don't know if it's worked.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this in one of our previous meetings, is that we'd be able to share some updates as the study is ongoing. So as SRF looks at the site access, site circulation, we'd be able to share draft versions of that before the final TIA is done.
Do you think do you think that will be data that you as staff could use to give us good feedback to then help guide us toward an appropriate design that would be?
Yes,
I know you
absolutely.
can't guarantee it, but
Yeah, I guess I can't guarantee whatever the study will come up with, but yeah, we definitely would work with you to find solutions for any recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And if I could just ask on methodology of, well, you guys are performing it, just will the research and data that you can kind of bounce that off of our team, just to make certain assumptions that are being made about dining room capacities and things like that are accurate.
Jay is our builder, by the way.
Okay,
I don't know.
So the construction on it, sure. I was good.
So that would just be beneficial to make certain, garbage in, garbage out, right? We just want to make sure the data going in to your models is as accurate as it can be.
Quite a bit of data.
Some biggest concerns will be ingress and egress, is it
All right.
good distance from the corner?
All right, you want to speak?
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. So part of this obviously is, the city kind of as the intermediary between us. So yes, absolutely. I think as data is provided in Culver's is, you all mentioned you have a lot of data available, which is not something we always have the opportunity to work with. And so yes, as much as accurate site plans that are revised, I think those, Luke, as we get those or as those are available, absolutely we'd like to incorporate those. I think as well, I'll speak to the, at least from our schedule perspective, Luke, we've had some discussions here as well. We've been working a little bit at risk in the anticipation that this is something forthcoming. We've scheduled the data collection for as early as we can here, post holiday. I know those initial concerns well. And so we have items in the docket on our end ready to go for this study here in anticipation that the board, if they approve this study, we plan, we have the full capacity to work on this here basically between now and the end of February and get this in front of the full study in front of the city staff who then can handle the appropriate processes to the committee down the road. I just want to be clear on our timeline what we're there to do here. Okay.
Thank you.
And of course the updates throughout, we we can work with Luke and Ben to coordinate to provide those as necessary as well. And more we can, like I said, this is a pairing of three. The more we can work with you all, the better the deliverable is to you as well. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so anyone from the committee, if you have on your agenda, some of the language in our agenda, if you want, is there somebody that would like to make a motion at this time?
I'll go ahead and make that motion. Says Madden, I'll recommend that the Public Works Committee authorize the city's consultant, SRF, to proceed with the revised TIA scope that includes the 8 intersections listed in the proposal. The total cost of the analysis estimated to be $39,500 to be paid by the developer.
I'll second, Don.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of passing the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Get a vote or
Not this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
I can have that.
Get this time.
Can I leave that with you? I do have the time for the 30 minute
Oh,
last.
I'm happy to.
There you go.
Yeah, don't give it to him. He's general public.
We're looking forward to getting started as soon as possible, so we wanted to make sure we had it ready for you.
Okay, yeah, if you need anything,
Thank you.
I have a card. I pretty much do most of the plan review, or should set schedules and stuff, planning, so. Jesse, I
Okay.
don't have the card.
That's okay.
Just if you need anything, reach. Oh, I'm sorry, we're in a meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, next agenda item, you want to do staff reports or?
Yeah, I'm happy to do the staff reports.
Okay.
Civil.
Cool. Yeah.
We'll be in contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your packet, so you have the staff report, so it's got updates from the various divisions. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight, particularly under engineering. I updated the packet with more recent information. So the High Road project, which is slated for 2027, is having under design phase right now. We've contracted with Veerbecker. This committee approved that contract a little bit ago. But we have recently scheduled our first public information meeting. And so that will be on January 28th. It's a Wednesday, the last Wednesday in January. And it's at Northside Elementary School. So the school district has allowed us to host a public meeting there, which will be nice just with the proximity to the roadway and then also the neighbors that will be there.
Kicking off design,
Pardon?
is that the start design of High Road?
Yeah. So, yep. So Veerbecker will come with some preliminary designs just to get feedback from residents. So obviously inviting the committee to be there as well. Once we get feedback from residents, kind of in terms of what they'd like to see for the roadway design, Public Works Committee itself would approve any design. But want to get a chance to have residents have feedback for that. Just an FYI, in terms of how we're notifying residents, we'll obviously post it on our website, social media, but then we'll also send mailers to residents within a certain radius of the roadway of the project to let them know of the public information meeting. We'll put out our electronic signboards as well.
Do you have a time?
That is at 6:30.
Walk to them.
There.
So yeah, 6:30 on the 28th at Northside Elementary School. And we'll send out more information or reminders as we get closer to the date. But just wanted to make the committee aware of that. Also in the packet, you'll see Public Works staff talked about the various snow and ice events that we've responded to over the holiday period. Obviously not a lot of actual snow, but a lot of kind of smaller events that still necessitated a response from our staff. So I'm really pleased with what they were able to accomplish. And then the other divisions had some highlights in there as well. But happy to answer any questions on what's in the packet.
Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Okay. All right, that was good. Thank you.
Yep.
Our next item is approval of general engineering service agreements.
Yeah, I think between myself and Luke, we'll take this one. So in your packet is we have kind of an annual service agreements with engineering firms that the city enters in on a regular basis. We use these agreements for all sorts of proposals, be it traffic analysis, stormwater analysis, parks. The Parks Department uses them as well, and general civil engineering needs. We solicited for prices. So those are shown in your packet. We're recommending the committee recommend to finance and common council for the city to enter into these agreements. So you'll see the listing of firms in there. Adaptive Restoration, KL Engineering, Burst Surveying and Engineering, MSA, Non and Associates, SRF, who's here tonight, and Strand as well. Just an FYI, we'll also have the city attorney review the engineering service agreements as well prior to taking it to the city council. And then there's also a potential for other firms that have submitted prior to the deadline, but we weren't able to get them into this set of agreements, but we'll bring those separately as a separate agenda item. So, but happy to answer any questions, and Lucas as well.
Okay.
I just think that this type of an agreement is extremely important, especially under situations like this where you need a rapid response.
Yeah.
It's you've got somebody trying to do a development and they need an immediate response. And there's several of these organizations that fall into that category. And if you have the standard agreement, you can just go on, okay, give us a proposal and then give the go ahead and do the work. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think
it's vital.
From staff's perspective, I think the ability, right, to get the work done quickly without having to go out and solicit bids or quotes, this makes it very easy, right, to rapidly respond to things, right, such as these developments.
Sure.
So part of what we are reviewing are the hourly rates that the consultants provided, right?
Correct. Yep. So it's the agreements and then the fees that they have provided. Yep.
Okay. All right, let's see. Looks like staff is recommending we approve or we can enter into these agreements. Do we have a motion? Mary, you're recognized first.
Okay.
I just, because I'm not as familiar with the hourly rates and how these might have changed if this is a biennial basis, would one of the city staff people be able to say if they've noticed any trends or changes before we sign these as opposed to what they looked like the last time they were signed?
Yeah, I guess I can touch on that really quick. Excuse me. I don't think there was anything that really stood out to staff as being, an unreasonable increase or anything like that. It looks like most of the rates came in pretty similar for similar positions as well. So I think that's also a good indicator that they're all pretty on the mark.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I think we are waiting for a motion.
I'm a pretty good reader, I think. I would like make a motion that the city enter into general services agreements as recommended by staff to be submitted to Finance Committee and Common Council with attorney's reviews. You added that. These agreements would be for the 26-27 2-year period with Adaptive Restoration, GSA, KL Engineering, Burst Surveying and Engineering, MSA Professional Services, non-associates, SRF Consulting Group, and Strand Associates.
This is
I will-
Madden. I'll second that motion.
You can have that one, Kim.
We're fighting
Okay.
a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of passing the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right, any opposed? No, the motion passes. And I don't think we have like liaison briefings or anything on today's agenda.
No, that got left out. That was my error, but also if there's any future agenda items, we'll happy to note them. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we can go asking this meeting, but I think everyone on the committee knows they can send those to you in
Yes,
advance of the
absolutely.
meeting. If you do have any agenda items, just email them to Ben for the next meeting.
Great.
All right, time is 7:10 and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
You.